So the last piece I want to tie up kind of that, what should you look for? So we talked about fee only, talked about fiduciary, and actually within fiduciary as an RIA, which is what we are, registered investment advisor, as Eric mentioned, governed by the SEC, we are required to be a fiduciary. Over and above that, both Eric and myself and Tyler and Harrison, the two other advisors on our team, are also certified financial planners, which is kind of the highest designation that you can get on our side of the fence as far as advice goes. As part of that, we actually are also required to be a fiduciary. So Eric talked about some of these things going on regulatory-wise. It's actually really interesting to see how it all shakes out. You've got lobbyists involved and things like that, and nothing's always crystal clear coming out of Washington. But there's this idea that if you don't work for this independent fiduciary firm and you work inside one of the larger broker houses or insurance companies and you have a CFP, how can you necessarily act in your best interest when you might be beholden to these larger companies? So that ties into kind of the third piece is independent. We would look for an independent advisor or advise you to look for an independent advisor. Again, not that there's not good people working inside those other organizations, but if you have a insurance, Northwestern Mutual, Lincoln, Merrill Lynch, again, not picking on them specifically, but somebody else kind of a parent company role overriding and making some of those decisions, that's a potential area for conflict of interest or bias. This particular solution, they might pitch as the thing that we need to be selling this month, and that might not be in your best interest. And the advisor is left in a position to try to resolve that, or just pitch whatever product they're telling them to do. When you're dealing with an independent firm like Oxford, again, we have the fee that we charge for our advice, and we dispense that advice and help you administer that plan. There is no middleman, no brokerage house, anything like that. So that's a potential example of, I would say, bias or conflict. And some, just another cook in the kitchen to try to influence decision making.
And just a little more specifically on that, there's a lot of confusion out there about how folks are compensated. So they'll say, well, no, we work on fees as well. We don't take commissions. Commissions are bad. And I'm not making that statement, but we have certainly, we deal with a shop. We feel strongly that fees are the right way to go. But look at who is paying those fees. In our situation, we believe that we work for the client, and therefore our sole source of compensation is the fee paid by the client. We don't have anyone else that's paying us anything. There are some other folks who will say, well, I'm getting a fee for advising you, but that fee is, of course, coming from some parent company in New York or the Wall Street firm type of thing. And that's not wrong, but just understand that there is another entity there with its own interests and its own behaviors, and those things could influence the advice that is being given, even though it's fee-based advice. I know it sounds like we're splitting hairs here a little bit, but again, always ask, who do you work for? How am I compensating you? And if you make a recommendation to me, do I know that you're making the recommendation because you know it's in my best interest, or is there some other influential factor in play here, such as, if you make this advice to me and 100 other people, do you get to go on a trip to Hawaii this year? These are good things to ask because that stuff still goes on out there. I have no idea how dispensing advice should result in a trip to Hawaii, but it still happens with a lot of firms.